Homeschooling rocks, and as veterans with around, 15 years of experience, we've seen all the good and all the bad. And today we would love to share with you some of the things we love most about homeschooling. Riki, kick us off.
I'd have to start with movement.
Cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to start with traffic. Or lack of movement.
That's a good one. That's a great one. No, movement. The fact that our kids can move anytime they need to, anytime they want to, in any way they like to, with any sort of volume, with, of course, respect to neighbours. But the freedom they have to move, I think, is one of the best things. We've
got boys, and look, I don't know if I'm stereotyping people here, but boys do have a lot of energy and they do love to move. And I can imagine in a classroom setting, you're supposed to sit still. I don't know how many times I was told to sit still, put my hands on my head, that sort of thing. It's the most unnatural thing. Sitting there cross-legged like this, going, when do we learn stuff?
It's like a hostage situation.
It is. I know. Just because some other kid was talking, I was not going to put my hands on it.
I forgot the hands on the head.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
How to tell people you went to a public school without saying you went to public school. We'll be right back after this break of transmission.
Sorry, I have to...
And we're back. We had to take a bit of a break there because Riki lost it. And she's still losing it. But yeah, movement is so important, isn't it? And it's so liberating seeing the kids just do what they want to do. And then they're just outside on the balcony swinging on the rings.
Yeah, they're just sitting there and then all of a sudden jump up, hang on the rings, run around, do a flip on the bed, come back and then just start doing whatever they were doing again. It's really nice.
Yeah, that's a real free sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder, can you incorporate that into a classroom setting? Riki, you do some classroom work with other kids.
Yes.
Did you want to talk about that?
Yes. So I teach an art class, after school art class. And some of the kids, they just have to move.
Yeah.
And I had one of the most adorable things that happened recently was this little girl sitting there doing her work and she goes, "Excuse me, can I do a cartwheel?" And I just thought, wow, that's really sweet. Anyhow, so I found her a safe space in the art studio. I said, if you feel like you can do one safely here, then you can do one here. She's like, okay. And she did a cartwheel and then she came back and she started working. And it was really beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool. So I guess there is no reason why that can't happen at a regular school or a regular classroom setting. But being in a homeschool setting means you can do that whenever you want.
Yes.
And I can imagine some people would say, but you can't do that in real life. Like if you're sitting in an office, you can't just get up and do a cartwheel. You can. I don't think you get fired for that.
Yeah.
In fact, some studies show that, if you're walking or if you've got a treadmill in your office, that stimulates
creativity.
Exactly. So I can imagine running that by your boss at your supervision, saying, hey, look, sometimes I'm getting a bit stagnant, I'm getting tired. Do you mind if I just chuck in a cartwheel, maybe a backflip every now and then? They'd be like, if it's going to make the company more money, sure.
Yeah.
So piggybacking on your idea of movement, I think the concept is really just being dynamic, being able to move in any direction, not just physically, but also mentally.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put on my capitalist hat here. If you want a good company, you want it to be agile. You want it to be able to move with the times, and you want it to be able to be flexible and move in different directions at the same time without falling apart.
Yeah. And I mean, Kodak, if they didn't move with the times, they would have gone out of business. If they insisted on continuing with film, then they wouldn't have survived, but they moved on to digital cameras and printers and a whole range of different products, whereas if they just had insisted, no, we're just going to stay rigid where we stay true to our course, then I don't think they would have survived. So, Kiwi, what's yours?
One of the things I love most about homeschooling is the lack of pedophilia. Let me expand on that. So many jokes, like if you're an adult who says, I love kids, it's like, oh yeah, you're one of those.
Yeah.
One of the joys I have in the homeschooling community is seeing people of all different ages mix.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's no pedophile homeschoolers. I'm sure there are plenty, okay? I just wasn't sure how to introduce the topic. All I saw on my notes was pedos. I thought, right, I've got to say something. But I really enjoy seeing people mix of different ages and that there's no suspicion.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's got a working with children check in the circles in which we move.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not going to ask.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. That would be a really awkward conversation. Hey, mate, just before we do this, before we
play soccer.
Yeah. How many kids have you fiddled? Now, I talk to a lot of kids in the homeschooling community who are around the same age as our eldest kid, who's 14. I also talk to kids who are around 7, who just know me and they come up to me, hey, Kiwi, how you going? One kid is about 4 who just came up and started playing my guitar. And since then, he's been like, one of my favourites. I won't say his name, but he knows who he is. And I think of them as friends. I don't think of them as the children of these adults. I think of all of us as being equals. And that's one of the things I love about homeschooling, that when you talk to children, you treat them as equals. No one looks down on these children or thinks that they're better than the children. We just happen to have been around for longer. We're just old. That's all. And that's not better. Being old isn't being better. And youth is the greatest power in the world, I think. So that's one of the things I love. Just the fact that we're all mixing and we're all showing so much respect. And kids are learning how they should be treated. You're not supposed to be talked down to. You think about the power dynamic at schools. Teachers have this authority over you and the tone they can use. No other customer service rep could use a tone like that, could they?
No.
Imagine going to a car dealership and being spoken down to. You're not supposed to be doing that. Tuck your shirt in. Mate, I'm giving you money.
Yeah.
You better be nice to me.
Yeah.
But for some reason in the school system, as we've said in the past, the customer is always wrong, right? The teachers have all the power. The principal has even more power. So I really love that the power dynamic is so equitable and that kids and adults mix really freely.
And you can see that when kids have a conversation with adults, there's often no shyness, or if they turn to an adult, they'll have the same sort of energy that they would if they spoke to one of their peers. It's a really fluid and dynamic exchange. You wouldn't really know whether the child was talking to an adult or a child. They're that confident in both settings. Yep. So that's really nice.
And it's a dynamic that translates to other areas of life too. It's not just within a homeschool community. So we're looking at our son, the people he's networked with in the waste management community. He talks to garbage truck drivers. He talks to reps. He emails councils, all sorts of things. He talks to anybody.
Or antique dealers or technology enthusiasts. So, yeah, a whole range of people.
Yeah. And there's no shyness in him about that.
No.
Either. And there was never a point where we forced him to go out to talk to people.
No, it was all his idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something I really love. Riki, give us your next one.
Fill it till you spill it. A guy at a market said that when I was buying apples at the end of the market and filling up the bucket until it spilt.
I was wondering where this was going.
So I love that idea of, for kids, just seeing our kids do something until there is no more desire to do it.
Yep.
Sort of thing. They're filling their cup or whatever it is, their interest, their curiosity, until it's gone. And then they might revisit it later, or it might take years to fill, but the freedom that they have, they don't have to go, okay, now it's time for this, or now it's time for that, or you're going to move on to this thing.
Yep.
A lot of the time, we've structured it so they have a lot of freedom to be able to dive into something and do it until they're like, oh, okay, done with that. And then you can see them just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love watching them go through that process of finding something they really love and then seeing them move away from it and go, oh, okay, I'm done. So, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And it's a great way to learn because you can learn everything through one phenomena. I know that there are systems that are phenomena-based, and I suppose that's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we look at our child with the waste management enthusiasm, that's taught him everything.
Yeah.
It's taught him social skills.
Yeah.
It's taught him writing skills. And our younger son, who loves video games, the things that he learned to read playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Unfortunately, he won't play Tears of the Kingdom, but that's a topic for another day. But the things that he's done, and he just focuses on one game at a time. He plays it to exhaustion. He's finished Elden Ring. Elden Ring makes grown men cry. He just does what he wants to do.
And he kind of breaks the game too. So he'll find every single glitch or every single weakness within the game, which is amazing that he's finished the game, but then that's not enough. He has to find out where all the weaknesses are.
Yeah, I love that. And you don't know what that's doing in his mind.
No.
Because the neurological connections being made from all that, it's a lot of problem solving.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I couldn't do any of it.
Yeah. Look, I gave up Elden Ring straight away. I touched it through the controller. So yeah, you never know where something's going to lead. And I don't know what his future is in that field, but he sure knows his stuff.
Kiwi, hit me with the next one.
It's all real. So a funny thing came up with one of our homeschool parents said, oh, but if you homeschool your kids, how are they going to learn to line up? Do we just get a VIP pass to walk straight onto a bus or a plane or a venue?
Yeah.
Come on.
The queue at the shopping centre, you know.
Exactly. Queues are everywhere. Come on. And they're real. Those are real queues. And if you don't line up, you get punched in the face, right? There's a real life consequence. You know, at school you do courses like home economics where you cook a meal at school. Well, we cook for real here. Our kids make pizza from scratch, for real. I remember when I did commerce at school, we had some business week where we had to start a business, and it was just something that we did one-off. Whereas our kids, they're doing their business all the time.
Yeah.
Our eldest son has several income streams, from a YouTube channel to antique dealing to scrap metal to return and earn cans. Our youngest son has a YouTube channel himself. He collects cans as well. And when it comes to budgeting, they're saving up for real things in real life.
With real currency.
Exactly.
It's not theoretically, you know, Jenny buys this and Sam sells that. It's they're actually handing over goods and in exchange for actual money. So
more often it's the other way around, unfortunately. All right, Riki, give us your next point.
There's so many, but I think food and dietary sort of influence has to come up there. In the top 3.
So there's no tuck shop where they're just getting pies and nuggets for lunch?
Yeah. Even though I often end up feeling like a catering service and I end up feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm always cooking, always preparing, always planning the next snacks, the next meals, and it's got its real benefits.
Yep.
So even though it's a lot of work, having that influence and making sure that they've got, not only do they have the opportunity to choose healthy, good food, I'm hoping that with the discussions that we have throughout the day and about making wise choices and healthy choices, and of course we can't avoid all of the you know,
and you don't have to.
No, you don't have to, and we can handle, you know, small amounts of fructose. We can handle small amounts of things that harm us. But if it's something that we're doing all the time at home and then out and about. And so, yeah, it's just nice having so much influence and control over what comes into the house and what they're eating. And, you know, people at the homeschooling community might say, oh, my God, but I've seen M&Ms in your, you know, basket and all sorts of, you know, bad foods. But the fact that they can choose and usually choose the nutritious option, that's what I like. You see, of course, they've got access to all these things and they're going to have access to everything once they leave home. So I would like to hope that by having complete access to everything, yet the knowledge behind, well, if I choose that, then there's this cost, or if I choose that, then there's this benefit, you know. Yeah. So it's really nice to know that we've got so much influence over those lifelong choices.
And they have chosen well most of the time. So it's true, we have plenty of junk food here. But the thing is, it lasts forever. A lot of it gets chucked out. Most of our Halloween candy goes.
Well, our Easter, we just had the Easter hunt. And I was just looking in the cupboard. Oh, my God, there's a jar of beautiful Lindt. I'm naming all these brands. But, you know, lovely chocolate eggs. But they're there from last year. It's like I can't even make hot chocolates with them because no one wants to eat it, which is really nice.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you have pizza singles at your school?
Oh, yeah.
I liked pizza singles.
Are they the box ones?
Yeah, they're
pizza
just
in a
like,
box?
it's just like one pizza single, like a CD size.
Oh, it's an actual pizza, not the box, not the biscuit, chicken and a biscuit.
Oh, no. Oh, you're thinking pizza shapes.
Oh, yes. We did only at high school, not at primary school.
I fully endorse the pizza syndrome. I just want you to know that. But yeah, it's great also that the kids are getting all this knowledge about nutrition as well. So that's something that you might do in PDHPE later on in school. But from a very young age, our kids are hearing about all of these important things.
Yeah, yeah. And when you look at the curriculum for PDHPE, and it's massive, and I understand why. I think, there's so much to cover and that's the most important thing, really, is how healthy can you be? And
it's funny that you think of PDHPE as just PE.
Yeah.
But people never think about the personal development and health side of it. You just think, you go there, you've got to bring a change of clothes, it's so annoying. And then the PE teacher gives you a ball and you've just got to kick it around for the period. And, most people are trying to get out of that class because they've forgotten their gear or whatever.
Yeah.
But really, it should be the most important.
Yes, I know, but it's looked at as the least important.
Like if you hear someone's a PE teacher, like, you've got a whistle, good on you, mate. But it should be. I mean, pretty much all of homeschooling is PDH. Mm-hmm. Not enough PE. We need to do a bit more of that.
But it is. It's all about so many levels of taking care of yourself.
And that's why we did this channel. It's all about the PD part, the personal development, because we have these chats with our kids all the time. And we really wanted to share that with everybody.
Yeah. So what would you say is next on your list, Kiwi?
The favourite things about homeschooling. Our kids go to the most exclusive private school in the world. They're the only 2 students there. Quite often you equate private school with exclusivity and snobbishness. Something we haven't found in our homeschool community at all is any sort of snobbishness.
No.
It's a really, really humble place. There's no keeping up with the Joneses. There's no show at all. In fact, there's a bit too much showing the real stuff. But we've recently had some of our favourite homeschoolers come and visit us at our place. And there was no anxiety about, we've got to get the place clean or anything. Not because we don't care about them or anything like that, but because we're that close with them that we know they get us.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can walk into our realm of chaos and everything's fine. There's no judgment there at all. And I find within the homeschool community, there's so much care about letting children develop at their own pace. Parents aren't embarrassed to do things in front of other parents. As we all know, one of our favourite pastimes when we become parents is judging other parents. But there's no fear of that in the homeschool community. I mean, one of my pet peeves in the world is judging mothers for breastfeeding in public. Like the most essential thing. Are you telling me a baby can't eat in public? It's because it's a breast. Come on, really? Are we that immature still? But in the homeschooling community, you would never, ever have any concern with that sort of thing, would you?
No.
I mean, that's just one example. But I find that there's a real lack of judgment in the homeschooling community, and I love that. And of course, in a community where there is plenty of judgment, you don't actually have to care anyway. You can still do whatever you want. So don't worry. I'm just saying it's really nice to have all these people around you who are so different to you, but still so open, and everyone's got room to breathe and just be themselves.
Yeah.
All right, Riki, what's another thing that you love about homeschooling?
Showing of affection. That is, you don't get that same sort of obstacle where the mum drops off the kids and says, "Mum, don't kiss me," or don't sort of drop me off at the next block sort of thing. It seems as though that hasn't taken root yet in terms of there's a lot of closeness that it's not a shameful thing for kids. That's just seen as a natural extension of when they were little, and that they've just held on to that, and that's something that's quite noticeable in a lot of families where the affection and the intimacy is still intact. It's lovely.
There's a lot of emotional availability in the homeschooling world.
Yeah, there seems to be,
It's such a common trope in films where the kid gets dropped off. "Mom, you're embarrassing me," that sort of thing. Yeah. And I haven't seen that at all. And I actually held hands with our eldest son up until the age of 13 in public. And I think he is too old. I mean, he's actually taller than me now, so that'd probably be weird. And he's 14 now. But that was really sweet. And I was very conscious of that, going, I wonder how much longer this will last. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy every moment holding his hand. Our youngest son, he was always just running off from me. So we never had the same sort of thing in public, but that's okay. We have other beautiful moments of intimacy too.
And I guess crossing the road would be one time where
Absolutely. And I remember when I was growing up, there's no way you would be caught dead saying on the phone, "I love you too, Mum."
Yeah.
Anytime one of us leaves each other in our family, if someone's ducking out to the shops or whatever, it's like, "I love you too." And that's our ending to every conversation, essentially. Even if I've just spoken to you on the phone and, I've got to call you back, "Oh, actually, this isn't available at the shops. I better talk to Riki and find out what she wants." We'll still end a conversation with, "I love you."
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
She could leave you for another person. I remember reading a comment as well on the internet somewhere. Someone was curious about why do boys get to a certain age in their teens where they just start becoming emotionally unavailable. It's like we train boys in particular to be hardened. You can't show feelings and you can't talk about them to anyone really other than your counsellor or that one confidant. Whereas I find in the homeschooling community, people are pretty honest with that sort of thing.
Yeah, the channels of that kind of communication seem to be a little bit more alive. Yeah.
Maybe it's because there are so many boys mixing with women. Not girls, but women. So a lot of mothers are around.
Yeah.
And there's just no taboo there. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a beautiful thing that boys, teenage boys, can let go and be themselves and cuddle their mothers.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
How about one more Kiwi?
All right, Riki, I've got one more for you. So that was very convenient. Perhaps even scripted. I love that the children that we know are less susceptible to trends and outside influences. Trust me, when you stumble upon a group of homeschoolers, you'll know they're homeschoolers. It's like the most eclectic group of people. Nothing matches. It's funny. It's like, where did you get that outfit? What 10 different shops did you get all that? It's like, you mean 10 different piles of trash? That's in our case anyway. And there's no pretense there. It's not like, "Oh no, I've got to have these shoes, otherwise the kids at school are going to laugh at me." It's like, I don't even know what I'm putting on today, but it suits my personal taste. And that's good enough for me. And I know that when I get to choir or wherever it is I go, no one cares.
No.
I've essentially got room to just be me.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. It's not an institution in the sense that there aren't all these cultural norms that you must abide by. Of course, the family is an institution and you've got your family rules that you abide by. But I find that homeschooling is so flexible that people really can essentially do whatever they want.
And that might not be the case for every homeschooling community. You might have homeschooling communities where a lot of the children or most of the children have previously come from that kind of environment where they were all influenced by the same kind of cultural pressures. And so then they might enter homeschooling. You might have those same sorts of dynamics playing out, but hopefully over time, those kind of pressures can lift as well. But it might not be in every homeschooling community where that's not the case.
Yeah.
I guess maybe we're just lucky.
We found some awesome people, haven't we? We've got a great, beautiful community and I'm so happy with it. One of the most liberating things when you become an adult is that you really can make those choices about what matters. But as we can see from every single marketing campaign, social media, we are still so influenced by everything around us. So I guess the younger you are when you start with doing your own thing and breaking free of that stuff, the better, right? The more conditioned you are to just being yourself.
Yeah.
So there are a few of our favourite things about homeschooling. We would love to hear yours. Please comment down below if there's something in particular that you love about homeschooling, or if you're not a homeschooler, please counter us. Please let us know what you love about school. Personally, I loved school as well. So there's so much room for all types in the world, and this is just one perspective. So please share yours. We'd love to hear it. Until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.